In light of the results from the 2016 presidential election, and some of the polls were off. I wanted to make a video talking about why polls are off. Um, so in for this election, Hillary Clinton, I think, was expected to win. It was 2-1, so she had about a 66% chance of winning, according to the experts. Um, Now, some of the polls were correct. For example, the polls in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Florida, those are all correct. They correctly predicted Trump to win those states. Where the polls were pretty significantly off were in Wisconsin, Minnesota. Oh no, I'm sorry. Pennsylvania was one where it was significantly off. So those three was where they were significantly off. Now, Trump talks about the polls being rigged and it's rigged, it's all rigged, that whole thing. I think there's certainly some people that make phony polls to try to drum up support or whatever, but pollsters generally they want to get right what they're polling. I mean, I don't know the polling business, but I imagine they make more money if they're accurate. I mean, what's the point of having an inaccurate poll? The whole point of having a poll is predicting what the outcome's going to be. Okay, so I want to talk about the mathematics of polling, and why it can be wrong. Okay, so I'm not a pollster, but I do know a lot about mathematics. Okay, so the method that is used to predict the outcome, it relies. So basically, you have a probability distribution, which is who everybody is going to vote for. Okay, and that's called your probability distribution. Then you have a sample, which would be the number of people that you called and asked who they were going to vote for. Okay, so and basically what you do is there's mathematical formulas for given a certain probability space, certain size of a probability distribution space, and given how many people that you polled, then you can figure out who's going to vote for who within a certain percentage, plus or minus 3%, and then to a certain degree of accuracy, so like 95%. So, for example, you could have a poll of 1 million people, you call 1,000 people, and you see what they said, and then your poll, you would say that there's 54% are going to vote for Hillary Clinton, and there's a 95% likelihood that that's true within plus or minus 3%. Okay, so that's basically how these polls go, and the way this mathematics works is you have to assume a set probability distribution, which means the math only works if the people that you poll vote exactly the same way that they said they were going to, or that they even show up to vote at all, or they don't show up to vote. And that's why when they poll likely voters, that's a better poll than just polling average Joe. Okay. So let me give you an example. Say you have a drawer full of balls, right? And you've got, well, actually, let's make it socks. You always have socks in a drawer, right? You don't have like balls in a drawer usually. So you have red socks and blue socks. You got your Republican socks and your Democratic socks. And there's 60 Republican socks and 40 Democrat socks. So there's 60% Republican are in the drawer. Okay. Now, if you pull out 10 of those, let's say you pull out 20 of those, okay, and you get a certain number, so you get 60%, then based on how many you pulled out and how big the space is, you could say, there's a 95% chance that there's 60% in there, plus or minus 3 balls, okay? And you do that based on the math. Now, if you were to go into that drawer after you'd already sampled, you put the balls back, and you were going in that drawer and randomly pull out 10 and replace them with 10 random other balls that are blue and red, then you're changing the probability distribution. You're changing the color of the balls in the drawer. So the balls might have gone from 60% red to 57% red, or 60% red to 62% red. And so if you do that, then when you took the previous sample, the math doesn't work anymore. It's not based on what's in the mathematical theories behind the polling don't work anymore, because it's no longer based on what's inside the drawer. It was based on what was in the drawer. Now, and the more balls that you would take out and replace, the less accurate it is. So if you take them out of one drawer and you completely replace the balls in the drawer, then it's a worthless model. Okay? And so that's where these polling things get in trouble. Like, what I've seen is people saying, well, when you only poll 100,000 people and you're expecting to get an answer for 1 million people, that's not possible. That's not true. If you know the probability space, the probability distribution, and you poll it, or sorry, if it's a fixed probability distribution and you poll the 1,000 people, you can know with a mathematical certainty that there's like a 95% chance it's within plus or minus 3. Okay, that is a mathematical certainty. You can prove that using probability mathematics. But the problem is with polling is the probability distribution is never set. People are always changing their mind. They're saying they're going to vote and then they don't vote, or they say they're not going to vote and then they vote. And so your probability distribution is constantly in flux. And so what happened in Wisconsin, for example, well, this happened everywhere. The voters for Hillary Clinton were down, I think 7 million. Is that right? I think they're down 7 million nationwide from where Obama turned out in 2012, and down 10 million from what Obama turned out in 2008. So really what happened was people, and this did happen particularly in Wisconsin, people that typically vote Democrat just didn't come out to vote. And so that's why the polling in Wisconsin is so far off. So I just wanted to give some discussion about the mathematics of it. The mathematics are certain, that they're provable. You can learn about them in undergrad if you're a math major. What the problem is the polls shift. And I'm not saying that some polls aren't rigged, that people don't have an interest in doing some polls. That's certainly true, but generally, like if you're I forget what the name of the guy is that was right. He was right about the last election, but not this one. So anyway, if you're one of the pollsters, then you're going to want to be right, because then people will watch your stuff and your content or whatever, And the LA Times, I think, predicted that Trump would win. Anyway, so it's not necessarily that a poll's rigged and why the pollsters are wrong, or that they're only calling Democrats or whatever. I mean, that can certainly be true, but a lot of times it's just the probability distribution shifts. If you enjoyed that, please like and subscribe.